tweet us on Twitter at BRR Show, and
Kyle, do you want to say hi? I'm doing my cross
say
with
hi.
Ben, Rob, and Robbo.
No.
Bring
it's
him
Robbo.
in.
Yeah. Here we go.
Oh, here we go, an exclusive.
Now, the funniest thing is he's had to go chase him.
Kyle
Yes,
Sandilands.
my hero. Oh my God.
You are live on the internet.
Oh, my hero, Kyle. Hello, Kyle.
Where's the heads up about live? I could have dropped the big F-bomb.
That was, mate. Hang on.
All three of you.
You are the man who put Ida Buttrose live to air, and she didn't even know she was on air, she told me.
That's fine. Those things are out. I'm sure Jackie was in charge of telling us she was on. I'm sure it was Jackie.
Oh, this is amazing. I'm very excited.
I believe yesterday I may have sent you a naked photo of a man. Did you get that? I believe one of your producers asked me.
There's so many nude photos of men I get. I like to sift through them. Usually I'll go straight to the what we call the wink bank, or maybe I've spelt that wrong.
You can say wank. You can say wank.
I'm not good with it. It's some sort of.
Yeah.
Hey, Cole, while I'm asking,
What's happening, fellas?
what
What are you guys talking? What's the hot topic today? What are you talking about?
We've been talking riots, of course. We've been talking a lot about riots. We've been talking about the bashing of the Sunrise News crew, and how police are acting. But the hottest topic, you've been a hot topic recently, in the fact that you did that 60 Minutes video. We've talked to Bruno about it, but my take on that piece of television was you were ready to reveal the emotions you were feeling that you talked about on your radio show, and it completely got missed because you threw in a gag to get yourself out of it.
No, wrong again. You're usually right, but you're wrong this time. You know what? I was not. I've read a few articles too that said that you were going to reveal this, you're going to reveal that, and I walk in there. I think with the intention to reveal nothing, because it's Carl, and I know what Carl knows, and Carl could reveal a lot of things, but he's a pretty good mate. But I think because when Jackie told me, you feel... No, there was no intention to reveal anything. When Jackie said, I'm worried about you. Hey, guys, I can hear you bleeding from the background. If you could keep that down. A lot of people here. So when Carl said, when Jackie said, I'm worried about him, worried about his health, then I got that wave of emotion through me. So there was no real intention to reveal anything. I just got a wave of emotion.
You, would
oh
you
my
have
God, I'm
gone
going to cry
into it?
60 minutes, the worst thing ever.
Would you have gone into it if he'd pushed you further for details on that?
No, I'm not wasting these gold moments on 60 Minutes. And it was when I actually watched it on 60 Minutes is when I realised, why did that wave of emotion run through me? It was quite weird to watch it at home. And I thought, something's going on there. And then I realised that earlier in that same piece, Carl had identified that if some things get too tough or too emotional to handle, I will make a joke out of it, or be self-deprecating. And I thought, oh God, he's onto me. And then when I was watching myself, I realised where did that emotion come from? And then I felt sad, and I thought, oh, maybe this is something I've been sort of suppressing or hiding a little bit, or I didn't even know I had it. I just knew that sometimes I can be quite sad, but most of the times I'm pretty up and pretty happy with everything.
Well,
so, Kyle, if I can ask you, it's Robbo here. Sorry, Robert, there's other people on this podcast. Robert, it's Robbo. I've got to ask you that, you're a broadcaster, you love the media. That's what I love about you as well, so many other reasons. But was it also emotional to be on 60 Minutes? Like, that's a really big brand in Australia. And, I guess we all kind of aspire to do that. Was that a thing for you as well or not?
When they first said, 60 Minutes want to do a story on you guys, celebrating 20 years. And I thought, here we go. They're going to roll out the lie detector, the Magda stuff, the this, the that. And I thought, you know what, that is part of the 20 years. So, of course, they're going to do that. And I think when I found out Carl was doing it, I just rang him and said, don't forget, I've got footage of you too, bro. So, no, I don't really.
Showbiz. That's
Kyle, Kyle, you're often surrounded by people. You're often surrounded by so many people, who just are obsessed with you, and you probably have a lot of yes men around you. But the one thing I wanted to ask you after that 60 Minutes interview is, how are you? Is everything okay? Like, I guess we all have our mental health struggles. And I feel like, do people in your life ask you that question?
Yes, I think sometimes, and over the years, they've probably made the assumption for me rather than actually ask. And maybe I'm a bit bullish, so maybe like if someone does come in and does that, how are you sort of thing, they probably have not done that because when by the time they usually get to me, I'm up, I'm most alert and most full on in the morning. I start to sort of drift off into a smoky haze in the afternoon. But the morning I'm super alert. But yeah, no one really comes up and asks. But I've never really asked that many people either. Like you see that, you see the campaigns that come on every year where you say, just ask them, are you okay, right? And then, but my friends aren't the sort of friends that you ask. Hey, how are you? Are you all right? I know that the police raided your house 3 times this month, but are you feeling okay inside? But maybe I should. And since that has come out, I was dreading seeing my mates. I was thinking, oh God, they're going to rib me and they're going to do this. But they were super nice, and they were like, "Hey, bro," and they put their arm around me and said, "Like, we didn't know that." And I was like, "Oh, it's fine. Like, I feel a bit funny about it, but there's nothing in particular I can grab onto. I think it's just suppressed trauma over the years here and there, mainly as a kid. But it comes out sometimes when you feel let down by people, or you feel like you've had a shit day or whatever. You guys have all had fair share of shit days yourselves.
Absolutely.
This should be called the Shit Day Crew. This whole thing. That's a bad image.
We are changing the name.
But
So
because of the way that was
you
promoted,
do ask.
because of the way that was promoted, it really put you in a position where you had to explain yourself, and it got very emotional the day after when you were talking about your real personality. That's something you talk a lot about, your personal life, but not about your feelings. So that was a really different dynamic that Monday morning when you spoke about that.
It was because I think it got advertised, and people were like, "Oh," I was reading things on the, someone read. I said, "Print me out some of the messages on the news forums about that 60 Minutes thing," and it was like, "Oh, Sandilands such a show pony. He faked the whole sickness." And I was like, "Hang on, that was a 60 Minutes promo." And that wasn't me. In the moment, for me, it was like a 30-second joke at Jackie's expense, and we all laughed. I didn't even think they'd use it. So when it turned into promo, I was like, oh, I can understand people might have felt they'd been clickbaited. I hate that myself. Like, I still get fooled if I walk past. If I go to buy ciggies in the servo in the morning, guys can still hear every word you're saying. You understand what broadcasting is? I've only been doing this for 20 years. Okay, so sorry, a lot of people are very busy. They don't care about the showbiz stuff. They're doing real work. I can't remember what I was saying now. You've thrown me off course.
Sorry, sorry. No, Kyle, I'm going to apologise. These two are idiots. We know that, and we're surrounded by idiots. I'm going to ask you one.
I'm talking about my guys at my end. They're imbeciles.
Oh, I'm talking about my guys at my
us.
end. Yeah, no, they're bloody idiots.
Just
This is
quietly,
really
you
important.
pointed to Carl when you said that, just so you know. You pointed the wrong camera way.
Oh, sorry, showbiz. Hey, I'm going to do the showbiz trick. I'm going to give you a... Oh, no.
Sorry.
Oh, yeah, wrong side. Yeah,
Carl has been
sorry.
very gracious, and I don't mean to harp on this, but Carl, I've worked with you. I've been lucky enough to be in the studio with you, and the thing is that always strikes me is that you are such a nice man, and you are actually so wonderful. And you wouldn't remember this, but the first time I met you, I was doing a day in the life of Jennifer Hawkins, and I was working at Sunrise at the time. And I said to you, I am such a big fan. My wife and I listen to you every day going into work, and I've actually got my wife sitting next to me. She switches the whole show and runs everything.
Yeah. Hi.
But you were genuinely shocked that someone in the media liked you. And this is, I'm going back to 2006 or something like that. And I remember being very confused by this. You were number one, you were riding high, but it was almost like you felt there's the audience and then there's people in the media who don't get me and don't like me. Did I
did think that for a very long time. No, you 100% nailed that. I did that because I think that what we forget in life is that haters or people that don't like you, or if you read a bad, nasty message or a blog about yourself, and you see maybe 6 or 7 of them, you start thinking, oh, this is a pattern. Everyone thinks this is no good. And I think I did the same thing as we do when we look at comments online. Back then, I would see, oh, that person in the Telegraph doesn't like me, and this person in TV Week said this horrible thing, and I know that editor at that newspaper. So I just thought, oh, maybe they don't like me because I was loud and a bit of a bulldozer. And Jackie used to say the same thing to me at the beginning of the radio. When we started on Breakfast at Today FM 20 years ago, the journalist asked us, American Rosso and Nova, they're number one. And I was like, they're finished in 3 months. Then they'll break up and you'll never hear from them again. Right? And Jackie was horrified. She was like, don't say that. Like, it's so arrogant and so it's not what people want. But that's what I truly thought. And strangely enough, that exact thing happened. So, I'm not a psychic or anything, but I just felt that way. And I think a lot of people were like, oh, you've got to be a little bit, kind or nicer. And maybe, I've learned a few lessons over the years that, yes, you can be, there are times to be nice and kind. And a lot of my early career, I just bulldozed. And, that made me hundreds of millions of dollars. So soz, everyone. Soz.
And you said the same thing when you went to KISS, the front page of the Sunday Telegraph. You were there going, we'll be number one from the get-go.
I truly believed it. I thought, if I love Law and Order and it's on Channel 10, and if Channel 7 ended up getting the deal, I'd just turn over to Channel 7 to watch Law and Order. I don't care where it is. I'd even go to SBS if Law and Order was on. And I don't even have SBS on my TV. So you go where your favourite show goes. So I thought, what's the difference for a radio show? If people love this radio show, it doesn't matter where it is, they will follow. I truly believed it. And there was commentators and experts, media experts going, he'll be lucky if he takes 15% of his audience. He's a delude. And I was like, wow, that's the first time I thought, I never even thought of only taking a small percentage. I just assumed I'd Pied Piper everyone over to KISS. And once again, I was right.
You did.
It's almost embarrassing. I'm right that often. It's ridiculous.
Mate, I have the same problem. Let me ask you this.
Another question.
Yes, another question. I'm dominating. Sorry, but when you went over, there was such a hatred from Austero towards you and Jackie, and it was almost like their rebrand was a big two-finger salute to you guys. And I've never seen managers or a company so happy to lose two of their biggest stars to a new rival network. Was it just sheer arrogance that the management thought they were bigger than
I don't know.
brand?
You know what? We had a great relationship with Austero, the original Austero, for years and years. Then they got sold to Southern Cross.
Yep.
And then the Southern Cross guys came in. They seemed like good enough blokes. They drank beer by the large neck. But anyway, that must be a Queensland thing. And they were a bit they wanted to run this gigantic radio station and television network like it was a used car yard in the outer suburbs.
Yeah.
Like lots of cigarettes and blokes talking, and everyone does as they're told. But we were like, well, we've already sort of got a thing going on here. And then they pretty much said to us, well, we're not going to re-sign you for a year because we think you've only got a 5 year. And I was like, well, we've already been 10, so how have we only got 5 years in total in Breakfast? And they were like, well, that's even more of a reason we think you're at the end. And I said, well, you're idiots. I said, we're nowhere near the end. I said, I feel that we're right, not even in the middle of our career yet. And they were like, oh, well, research says, and I thought, oh, these are research idiots.
Yeah.
Research is great to have, but you've got to go with your gut. If you just get a bunch of fat middle-aged people in a room because you're offering free pizza and asking them questions on what they think radio and TV should be, they're really only there for the pizza. And if they're free on a Wednesday night, they're usually losers. So who wants to run their whole radio network based on what free pizza-eating losers that are free on a Wednesday night think? Not me.
Robbo, you wanted to ask.
Amazing.
Kyle, I've got to say, and I'm not just being like what did Malcolm Turnbull call Bill Shorten? A sycophant. I'm not being a sycophant, I promise. But I
love that word.
Thank you. It feels slightly dirty. But anyway, a mutual friend of ours, the wonderful Matt Simpson, we often talk about you and we watch clips of you. And what we love about you is that you just don't give a shit. And I think that's really important because everyone else in media is always very scared about saying the wrong words. Like, can I still call, a black person, all that? You don't care about that.
It's a worry too. I get it. I get it.
It is a worry. It is, but it's brilliant that you're able to do it.
But it's not a brave thing. It is, I've used my money that I've made out of radio and invested in other ventures. So I've got a sangria business, Nueva Sangria. I've got the H2 Cocoa companies. I've been in nightclub businesses. I've a company that creates content. I've got interest in record labels overseas. I do consulting for, like, I've got money pouring in on many dimensions. So if someone does say, and I'm lucky enough that I rate well enough and I've got a big enough platform that it's not that easy to get rid of me. I'd have to really do something super dumb. And it's not just what one, the problem is with media is one person or 5 people can write a letter and say, oh, I was insulted about this and I think that it's disgusting and I'll never get over it. And that can change, that someone can get cancelled or get fired for that, or they start attacking advertisers, and then people are shamed for being on. We saw it with Alan Jones, and and like some people think, he's a bit of an old school. He did some dumb things every now and then, but he's Alan. So, and some people are like, no, I mean, it's outrageous. I want him finished. I want him ended. His life's got to end. That's how.
There's got to be something, though, Kyle.
I spent a bit of time. Hey, when this happened to me, I started looking at someone else. I started looking around. Who are these people that are trying to get me fired? This is years ago, and I realised that the main offender was a lady and another bloke in Ballarat, and we not even heard in Ballarat back then, and there was no iHeart Radio or anything. And I thought, these people have got nothing better to do. They just want me ended. So
there's got to be something, though, Kyle. There's got to be something that you've done at some point in your career that you take back. If you could take back one thing that you've said on air,
I know what that would be.
What is it?
Oh, look, you know what? No, there's not. And a lot of people go, oh, well, what about the lie detector? You should take that back.
That was my
But guess
assumption.
what? I actually
I reckon he's going to say something different.
That girl for a long time. I was under the assumption that poor girl was 21. Don't forget, I was in New Zealand operating out of the Sofitel Hotel on a ski holiday when that show happened. I had no control of any buttons. On my sheet, she said she was 21, and at no stage did anyone even know she was going to get asked that question. So, and then afterwards, the media, once they sort of kicked me around a bit, they were like, we demand to know who she is. And then they started to try to find the girl and the mother. And I just said, I could come out and say what the lie detector actually said when she said that. I could say,
but you didn't.
The mum shouldn't have asked that. I could have said what the real situation was. But the girl was 14, so I chose, if someone's going to suffer over this, it's going to be me, not a 14-year-old kid. Wow. And she's made contact since, and the mother, and said, hey, like, you should, we see this comes up every now and then, you should say what happened, what really happened. And I just said, no, I got blamed. I took it because it was my responsibility. At the end of the day, it was my show. And I wasn't going to throw a mum, a desperate, confused, worried mother and a troubled 14-year-old girl under the bus. People think they know everything, but they don't really know anything. If you really knew what happened behind the scenes with that, you'd think, oh, maybe I should keep my mouth shut, not just assume I know everything. Because it took on a life of its own. What really happened and how it was reported on the TV and on talkback radio, like anyone would think, the story twisted and perception became reality. So I just thought, I just got to protect my job here. That was the only time I thought I'd really going to get the flick.
Well, they were gunning for you.
It boiled down to me and the chairman of Austero at the time having a cigarette together and nutting it out, just him and I, because there was a boardroom full of people going, well, I think, and there's members of the board that think, and then I thought, you know what? Let's just you and me sort it out. We went out, chain smoked about 6 ciggies, and we sorted it out. Luckily, I survived through that.
Well,
Absolutely.
and once
but that
again,
wasn't the one thing.
that
wasn't the one thing, though.
No, that one. Yeah, sorry, you're right. No one cares about your original question. It was the depth.
No. Well, it's a pretty good exclusive, Kyle. So we'll let you talk about it. But I still don't think.
Okay,
I think
there's
that
one.
you're pretty safe
One
with that
thing
one.
I regret doing is my protege, Jason Hawkins, who does the breakfast show Kiss in Melbourne now. Labby, I used to call him.
Yeah.
I made him jerk off in a car one night live on the radio because he was running late to where he should have been giving away stickers and cans of Coke. I felt bad about that.
Oh my God.
Don't feel bad about that. That is inspired. Right. That's original. That's brilliant. Go on.
Yeah. No one even bothered to say anything. No one said, hey, what happened last night with that guy in the car? Nothing. I don't think anyone even heard it.
Every Wednesday, we're going to get you on the show because we're obsessed with you. All three of us have basically wanked you off the whole way through this because we love you so much. So if you are looking to be wanked off every Wednesday, come and join us on the show.
Thank you, Ben.
Oh, what an advert.
I know.
Going to be lined up around the block.
So, Kyle, there's been a lot of reporting about your salary. Are you prepared to tell us just how much you're earning?
Oh, God, I have to actually find out.
Oh, come on. You can't ask him that.
No, I don't mind.
Ask him.
Stuff comes from different places, so I don't even...
Just the radio
don't
gig would
even
be
know.
fine.
No,
Whatever they reported, like I remember they first reported it around $50 million, and I thought, bitch, please, $50 million.
Kyle, you don't have to answer
So
that.
there's bonuses and stuff in there as well, you know, like man's got to eat.
The man's got to eat. That's what I'm going to ask you. Oh, a brilliant segue. I've really got to ask you this. I ask everyone who I talk to ever because I'm really socially awkward and I can never think of things to say. So I'm going to ask you the same question I ask everyone. What's for your tea tonight, Kyle?
What's for tea tonight? Well, because I've been going to the doctor's a lot, I've got a whole box of U-Foods. I'm sitting at home and I've gone through and I thought, oh my God, I'm eating microwave food. Like, how does this happen? I'm feeling in prison. But it's actually pretty bloody good and it's the right quality. So I'm thinking tonight there's this like a spaghetti bolognese I've been keeping my eye on.
Oh,
I'll be eating
nice. Beautiful tea.
And
Thank
it sounds
you,
like I'm dropping sponsor credits all through here. I'm paying for this shit too, by the way.
No, you might as well.
I'm not
because
getting paid by U-Foods. I just enjoy their stuff.
Kyle, we know you're an up-and-comer, so is there anything you need to plug? Where can we find your radio show?
I'd love to be able to like do a like a guest appearance at like a Wollongong nightclub or something. I'm hoping that someone will reach out and, you know, like in return for a bar tab and like an Uber. I'd love to be able to, you know, as I climbed. I remember I started off in Sydney. I was getting paid good money, but I was still out there scamming the $1,000 appearance fees out of Parramatta nightclub, playing, like getting couples up on the stage with a Violet Crumble bar, playing Suck the Chock. And the idea was the guy would think he was going to be the big man, but I put the guy on his knees. The girl would undo the Violet Crumble bar and stick it between her legs. The guy would have to hold his head back and he had to suck the chocolate off the Violet Crumble. And if there's any teeth marks, obviously instantly disqualified. Whoever got to the Violet Crumble first won the $100 bar voucher. And I was getting booked, baby. I was getting booked every week. Everyone loves Suck the Chock.
Oh, bring that
I
back.
think it work this week. Anyway, still out and about there.
Kyle, you are an absolute legend. Look, thank you for popping in. You've made our day.
You're
so
welcome.
thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much for that. I'm so hungover
Thanks, guys.
today, and you have made me laugh. Yeah, Robbo's
You
at
look
my
so
place.
good.
Robbo's
I
at my
look
place.
hungover. I haven't had a drink since I was 21 years old, and I look like a big grog monster.
Do you not drink?
No, he doesn't drink.
No. Anyway, see you later, guys. Great to be on the belly with ya.
Thank you so much, Kyle. That was very kind.
So you, mate.
He's gone. One way to
That's
end
the
an
best way to
interview.
finish one of these chats.
Yeah. Well, can I
Sorry,
just
that
say,
was amazing.
unbelievable, right? Unbelievable just to have
Mate,
Kyle pop in.
It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo, Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.